You need to stop trying to make your parents happy. You can go back to your shitty job and your shitty life. You have to be willing to ditch people. Well, I haven't lived a normal lifestyle in a very, very long time. I graduated high school. I did some construction stuff. I went on my first backpacking trips. As soon as I went on my first backpacking trips, I realized there was something really wrong with the way most people were living. I didn't realize there was a lot of shit that I hadn't dealt with that I was kind of like masking with like a lifestyle that gave me a lot of purpose. Society doesn't want you to be able to think for yourself.
The world is self-soccer because the world is changing. It's freaking fast.
It's the biggest change in the world, man. So
ditch the idea of perfectionism, and that's all absolutely cool.
Before you decided to jump ship and sell to your dreams, tell us a little bit about your life and what was life like for? Right, today on this episode of Curated Freedom, we've got Shine. And Shine coming back from a quite hard upbringing, coming from Canada, has everything going against him. He went through the COVID, he got hit really hard, started traveling around the world, started opening up his mind. And then during the hard, dark times, he started going into crypto. And that crypto started to really open up new doors to where he started living his life his ways. And now we have the pleasure of having him on our show today to show you guys what Creating Freedom is all about. All right, so today on our podcast, we've got the magnificent, the one and only, the champ. So, bro, you good? Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you.
So we've got Shine here today. We're going to fire this off in this way, because a lot of people looking at Freedom podcast, about creating freedom. Man, what does creating freedom means to you? What does freedom mean? What it means?
Being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want. Freedom of schedule, freedom of time, and freedom geographically.
Actually, one of my favorite answers. Bang to the point.
Short and sweet. Soundbite. You're welcome.
All right. So, look, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your name, age, your gender? I was trying to figure that one out.
Well, I'm a Zim/Zer. So please make sure that my proper pronouns are in the bio of this. I go by the name Shiny D, whether that's real or not. What is real? What is your concept of reality? You tell me. What was the question?
We just want to know a little bit more about yourself.
I live in Bali. Obviously, I'm into crypto. I'm a content creator / performer, entertainer.
Love it. So, man, let's just go back a little bit. Before you decided to jump ship and sell to your dreams, tell us a little bit about your life and what was life like before you lived in your freedom life?
Well, I haven't lived a normal lifestyle in a very, very long time. I graduated high school. I did some construction stuff. I went on my first backpacking trips. As soon as I went on my first backpacking trips, I realized there was something really wrong with the way most people were living. I remember going down to a small village, staying with a small village in Nicaragua, and everyone was so happy, even though they didn't have anything. And then I went back home, and before I left on that first backpacking trip when I was 18, I thought I was going to be like concrete construction guy, own my own company, do trades part of the year, going traveling part of the year. And then when I went home, I realized that all of these people were so unhappy doing the normal grind. Literally like Fight Club, working jobs they hate to buy shit they don't need. Like, what have you been up to? Oh, I've been traveling all over Central America, having my consciousness expanding, going to all these different beautiful ruin sites, seeing different cultures. What have you been up to? Oh, same shit. Working all week, get fucked up on the weekend, got a new truck though. And I was horrified. I was like, oh! So I got rid of all of my shit and I started hitchhiking around. And that eventually led into me doing circus. And I became a circus performer for a long time.
What kind of performance was you doing?
Oh, what can I say on the camera? No, circus, comedy, and acrobatics. Originally, it started out at music festivals. I would stay up all night. I'd see girls spinning hula hoops at sunrise. I was like, that looks pretty cool. That evolved into doing like more staff spinning and stuff, almost martial arts style, but lighting on fire, aka fire dancing. I ended up spinning fire at Burning Man. I was living in California, but I wasn't really happy with my living situation. And then on Facebook, it was kind of like a call to the universe. I was like, okay, I want to do something else with my life right now. And then on Facebook, I saw this Mythmakers Sacred Circus retreat in Mexico. So I flew down to Mexico, and in 2 months, they trained me up, and I was doing these fire shows in the streets in Mexico for Semana Santa, which is like the big Easter celebration. And I was just hooked. Like thousands of people, crowds for my first show. It was like amazing. And so they invited me back to Canada to live with them in a school bus and to travel around performing. So then I lived in this big 44-foot green school bus with horns on the front. And there was like 10 of us living in this bus, and I had no money. So I was like going to soup kitchens and like dumpster diving and shit like that because I didn't want to work. I just wanted to do circus. I was living in a hammock underneath the bus. And then that just kind of started my circus career. And then I did circus for a long time until COVID happened. And then I had to pivot again.
Well, so what was it like through COVID then?
It was pretty bad, man. It was at the starting of it, I was really stoked because Canada was giving you like $2,000 a month, just kind of like a little check. They're like, here you go, shut your mouth about the scamdemic. Here's your little check. And I'm like, thank you, sir. Thank you for my check. And so I was like waking up early, just training, kind of treating it like a staycation. And then I ended up getting really depressed, kind of moving more into work that was kind of stealing my soul, which I don't even want to mention right now. And then that spiraled into some serious mental health issues and a lot of substance abuse. And then my life was just like spinning off the rails. So I didn't know what I needed to do, but I knew I needed to do something. And then one of my friends was in Mexico, another performer, and he was doing partner acrobatics and stuff down there.
Yeah.
And he said, come down to Mexico. I can get you a show. So when can you get me a show? He said, in 4 days.
Right.
It's like, okay.
And just with the when you got to that depressed state, like, were you not able to perform? Everything closed down.
Everything
was that right?
Yeah, everything was closed.
And so
the first few months I was optimistic because I'm like, oh, it'll probably be like open for the summer, and that's when I make most of my money. And I didn't realize there was a lot of shit that I hadn't dealt with that I was kind of like masking with like a lifestyle that gave me a lot of purpose.
yeah, did you enjoy it?
What's that?
Like being a performer?
Yeah,
I guess you love it.
Love it. Yeah, I love it, man. It just filled me with so much joy and purpose. I love doing shows, like the thrill of the show, the pressure of the show, the crowd, the training, the community, all of it. It was my life, right?
Yeah, right. And when you got introduced, or when you got when your friend told you to head over to Mexico and get you a show.
So we were trying to go to Bali for months before, and we were using a visa agent because you need a special visa to come to Bali during COVID, right? So we were using this visa agent that we'd used in the past. And she basically kept saying, oh, 2 more weeks, so I need some more money, or another month, blah, blah, blah. But we'd used her, so we trusted her. And then finally, after months, she sent our visas. But she sent them, we were in Vancouver, she sent them all the way across the country to Toronto. And it was very expensive to fly back and forth. So we're like, yo, can you send them to Vancouver? And she's like, yeah, I just need some more money, some more time. Did that to us about 2 more times, and then just ghosted. And so, like, now I'm in Vancouver. My friends are, like, dying from fentanyl overdoses and shit. I'm losing my mind. I'm going on these crazy fucking benders. And I knew I just needed to leave. So my girlfriend at the time, she didn't have her passport yet. She was waiting for it. So I told her, I'm like, yo, I need to leave. I'm going to fucking die if I don't leave. And I'll come. Either if you get your passport early, come meet me. If not, I'll come back. After about a week of being in Mexico, she just, like, broke up with me. And so I stayed in Mexico.
Yeah, I guess
Was that another like downfall on that then, the breakup?
It wasn't too bad because it was kind of like a codependent relationship that I was in for a very long time. It obviously like hurt my feelings because I was in a very low place already, and she was like a big source of comfort to me, but she was never like the one. So I did accept it, but it was another step lower. But I was already pretty much as low as you could go. So once you're like really at rock bottom, like someone kicking you and you're already at rock bottom, okay.
yeah,
like someone spitting on you in the gutter, you're like, I'm already full of piss and shit. Like, what is another spit?
yeah,
I might have to edit that out.
yeah. And so now you're in Mexico, you're rock bottom. Like, you know, just right now, I can feel your enthusiasm, just the way that you are, your aura. How did you? Yeah, how did you? You know, there would have been a journey to get where you are at the moment in terms of mindset and your attitude towards life.
Yeah, so it was really interesting. While I was down in Tulum, I started in Playa del Carmen. I met this girl there, said, you gotta come to Tulum. I do circus jams and stuff. It's more of your vibe, more of your energy there. I go to this circus jam and I'm all like pilled out and shit like that. And at this circus jam, this girl recognizes me from Bali years ago. And she goes, hey, I'm about to throw this retreat. We need a circus instructor. Do you want to come? And I was like, please save me from myself. Absolutely. Like, I'm falling apart. I'll do anything. So I came to this circus retreat that she was throwing, and it was in Akumal on this beautiful laguna. Incredible. Like, it was in the Grateful Dead's old keyboardist. It was their place. There's this giant waterfall outside this beautiful house with all these psychedelic mosaics everywhere. Big pagoda, like yoga shala in the back. And then it opened up on a private cenote. And then it opened up on a giant laguna. And then my roommate was this yogi, an ex-addict who had just gotten out of prison. And he basically like nursed me back to health. And that circus retreat kind of became like my rehab. And I'd go swim. I'd wake up with him every morning. We would do breath work. We would do pranayama. I learned how to free dive, and I slowly got my strength back. And then I realized that they were like totally taking advantage of me at the retreat, making me work like crazy and still pay. And so then when I finally like rebuilt up my self-confidence and self-dignity, I kind of called them out on it, and they were so upset that they kicked me out of the house. But all the guys came with me because they thought I was awesome. So we all left, like 4 of us guys, and then we got this big fucking beautiful villa in Tulum and just started having the time of our lives. We were still just kind of like partying, and it was a little bit directionless. Then I started doing a comedy night in Tulum, big open mic comedy night, because background was a comedian. And at the comedy night, crypto people started coming, and I started telling jokes about crypto. And then they invited me to come down and tell some jokes at the crypto club. And Tulum had this incredible crypto club during COVID, because everywhere else that was cool in the world was kind of closed, and Tulum was still wide open. So all the coolest people came all at once down to Tulum, and we had this giant, incredible crypto club. And so I started hosting the crypto club. And then one day, somebody posted a picture of me with this big crypto club, like 150 people, like half of them like beautiful girls in bikinis at the beach. One of my old friends saw this guy that I used to work for, and he was right about to comment on the picture on Instagram. And right as he was about to comment on the picture of Instagram, my phone Facebook video called him in my pocket. And I hadn't like messaged this guy in a long time or talked to him. And it just so happened my phone started calling him right as he was about to type on my message. Pick up my phone, go to hang up. He picks up before I could hang up. We start talking. And it turns out he was like running this kind of like underground marketing thing in crypto. So then he invited me, like, well, you want to start creating content? You want to start doing things for these different projects? So then boom, just like that. I got into crypto, and that was about 3.5 years ago, and I've been full-time ever since.
Full-time crypto.
Yeah.
It's a wild ride, baby. It's a wild ride.
So then, how did you end up getting that?
But I've never, for tax purposes, I've never made any money in crypto. In fact, I've just lost money. So
Yeah.
I have to say that one.
Yeah.
So how did you end up getting here then?
Bali? I love Bali, man. I've been here like, this is probably my 4th or 5th time in Bali. It's always been my favorite place in the entire world. Just something about the energy, the people, the geography, the surfing. I love it. It just feels like home. But the way I got to Bali was kind of crazy, because I fell in love with this girl right at the end of like when I was in Tulum, and I went back home to perform in Canada. I'm like allergic to Canada right now. I don't know if it's the PTSD. I don't know if it's the culture, the vibe, the energy, the fear. I don't know what it is, but I go there and I just kind of feel sick. So I tried to go back there to perform and kind of resume my old life pre-COVID, and I lasted about a month. And then I was still madly in love with this girl. So I'm like, yo, let's go to Colombia. Let's travel around. We'll go back to Tulum. And so I went down with this girl I was in love with to Colombia for about a month. But I just kind of fell off the rails again. She ended up going back to Burning Man, just totally ditching me. I was like heartbroken, like burnt out, kind of hit rock bottom again. And then I did these iboga ceremonies in Colombia and completely reset my nervous system and quit all my bad habits, and did a lot of work with therapy and transcending my trauma. And then I ended up in Thailand and Bali.
Just to go back to the crypto stuff, if you're willing to share, allegedly, because you said you're full-time crypto stuff. For me, for me, it's a kind of a mysterious kind of thing, right? Like, how does that? Maybe if you could share how that sort of works, I guess. Or
So I do a combination of a lot of different things in crypto. I help projects market. I create content. I host live radio shows.
Show your cheese off.
Soccer protocol, right? Shiba, call to the black Shiba. No big deal. Next Shiba, no bro.
So when did you end up? Then how did you end up coming to Bali, and when did you decide to take the big leap to Bali?
Yeah, so I was in Colombia, and I was just, I had just come out of like another rock bottom, kind of heartbroken, reset, detox, and then My friend was one of my influencer friends in crypto. He was in Thailand. He said, "Yo, come visit me in Thailand." So I said,
Is
"Okay."
that the one who was at the fight?
Different one. I know a lot of important people. No big deal. Don't like to brag about it, but here we are.
Right, let's go back to that creative freedom life. How is this life working out for you now?
Awesome. It's the best. I mean, the people here are a little... No, I'm just kidding. No, it's great, man. I love my life. I'm super, super grateful. It's probably the best it's ever been, which is great.
So right, we know a bit of your old life, so your new life. Run us through that, your new life now. What's it like day to day? Because I mean, when I hear someone who's a crypto influencer, I'm like, okay, so what do you do? How does your day work out living here in Bali?
Yeah, so the one big compromise in Bali is the time zone difference, right? So my days usually start very early. It's a little bit off from the trip we just did for the fight. Just did a crypto fight, no big deal. Kind of the champ. So the one thing, I usually wake up pretty early, go to sleep at 7:30 or 8, wake up at 2 or 3, and then usually do a lot of shows on Twitter, do a lot of spaces, do a lot of videos, but I don't know, just live a really balanced lifestyle of working all the time, but it's work I love to do because I'm not doing shows all the time, creating videos, creating content in crypto. That's like my biggest artistic outlet and artistic expression. So I like making videos that make people laugh.
So it's not that work to you then?
I mean, it is because you have to show up and do it when you don't want to do it. And it's what, it's my breadwinner. So there are days, where you have to do podcasts for your friends and stuff where you have to really like make yourself go at it. But in general, no, I love it, man. I've been really blessed that I've always been willing to bet on myself. And I think that's the big difference between people that get to live a free life and people that don't. People that don't get to live a free life, it's because they're never willing to like make that investment in themselves, make that risk. Even when I was doing circus, I was trading it off. Like even when I wanted to travel, okay, I didn't have money, but I wanted to travel. Okay, so I'm hitchhiking, I'm dumpster diving, I'm table diving, I'm busking with my guitar. I'm willing to sleep in a fucking ditch or under an overpass, right? Because that freedom was so important to me. But for most people, they never want to risk that. Yeah. They'll do a job that they hate. They'll live somewhere they don't want to do. It's purely out of comfort, but people don't realize that in order to really be comfortable in the long run, you have to step out of your comfort zone every single day.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, right, so we're still going to your day to day then, right? So, I know you're a bit of a
surfer translation for the people that don't speak the Queen's British.
So yeah, run us through that type of day then. So like you said, you wake up, you do your work quite early, and then after that,
yeah, usually so I work for a few. Like if I'm waking up at 3, maybe I'll work for 3 or 4 hours, go surfing, come home, work, eat, go to the gym, work, eat. But every morning it's like I always really want to take care of myself, so I'm always doing morning practices, evening practices. So it's very easy for entrepreneurs specifically because people think that entrepreneurs work less, but typically we work a lot more. But the beautiful thing is when you're somewhere like Bali, you can really balance that out. Like I can trade shit coins while getting a mani-pedi. You know what I mean? Like I can like be editing a video while lounging by the pool at Wrong Gym. And then Bali's so incredible for like just optimizing your entire life because you can get meal prep cheap. You can have masseuses come to your place. Someone will do your laundry, your cleaning, everything, right? So you can really streamline everything so all of your energy can go directly into your work. Yeah. So it's usually about half the day I'm working and then half the day I'm doing something that improves me on a different level, whether that's yoga, breathwork, boxing, surfing, whatever it is. So I'm very, very quick because I used to just work until burnout all the time and then I'd have to just take time off. Now it's all about completely balancing and optimizing every single day.
Yeah.
Like even though crypto never sleeps and most people are checking their phone all the time, I'm going to give myself an hour in the morning. Just wake up to breathe. Same within the evening. Same thing, like making sure to reset your nervous system every day because the grind doesn't stop.
Yeah. And there would have been a moment, right, where you were doing like 80-hour weeks, whatnot. Well, what was that trigger moment where you're like, you know what, I need to set my routine and balance my life?
I would just be burnt out all the time.
Yeah.
Like, especially because crypto works in cycles. You have bear markets and bull markets. And when it's the bull market, it's like make hay while the sun shines. Like you have a short period of time that you want to work as much as possible and make as much as possible because you might not get that for another 2 or 3 years. But again, you have to find that balance. I always tell people because people are so obsessed with like this old school kind of factory, almost slave mentality where they have to work all the time to get ahead. But I don't necessarily think it's always about how much you work. I think it's about how well you work. what the quality of your work is like, right? If the quality of your work is suffering, there's no point increasing the quantity. You have to find that balance. And most people never do. They want to cut sleep. But you got to figure out, like, if you need 8 hours of sleep, what's the point of working 2 more hours if you're at a diminished capacity?
Yeah.
So you need to know your own limits. And I think the only way to know your own limits is to hit those cycles of burnout originally and then to pull back, right?
Yeah.
But also most people are trying to cheat the system by using like stimulants and stuff like that. They're just going to drink more coffee, take more nicotine. But that's just borrowing energy with interest, right? That you have to pay back at some point exponentially.
Yeah, I see it myself, like in my head when I wake up, like after I wake up, that's the best time for me to work.
Yeah.
In my head, I've got this, I always picture it as a battery, right? Like your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much that you can do before you, turn off and then you're unproductive. Because they say, well, you can do, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 hours. I'm not sure the amount.
Like deep work.
Of deep work before you kind of fizzle out and then there's no productivity. The productivity just drastically drops. Yeah.
Because you got that saying that work hard or work smart. But it is like, what I'm hearing here is like still working hard but working smart.
Yeah, it's like when we did this fight camp, right? I was doing recovery more than I was doing training to get the most out of my training. Whereas I always used to do that the opposite, where I would think I would need to work out 5 hours a day, but then I'm not spending any time recovering. So then you get diminished results, right?
Yeah.
And then there's hacks that I use, like whether it's meditation or yoga nidra or whatever it is. Like when I start to get burnt out in the afternoon, making sure to stop caffeine at a certain hour, wearing those dorky little blue light blockers at night.
Yeah, I see that. I had to share.
Chicks dig them.
I had to share a room with this guy.
They're like, wow, look at this guy. He's so badass. He doesn't even let anything interfere with his circadian rhythms past 7 p.m.
until he has to share a room with me.
Yeah.
All right. So, man, so tell us the highlights of your life, what you live in now.
I mean, it's beautiful when every day I went on vacation to Thailand like 2 months ago. And I realized when I went on vacation, it was largely to see a girl and a friend. But I realized when I went on vacation that just everything I do in my normal day is like a vacation. Because again, like I'm doing work that fulfills me, that gives me purpose, that gives me positive feedback, something that I can continue to grow and expand with. But at the same time, I'm doing everything I want all day. Like I'm going surfing, I'm doing my massages, I'm going to the gym. Like that's what I want to do every single day.
When you say, you do work that's what you're doing work that is fulfilling you. Like, what is it about that work, especially as a content creator? Because how I see it is just creating content, and distributing it, right? Like, some people do content creator, like you have a coach that might, do it for one reason to help somebody else. Like, what is it with your content, just from like a crypto point? Where do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, crypto is cool because you have like different coins have different communities, right?
Right.
So when you create a piece of content for a community, that's really, and the bar for content in crypto is still like very low compared to any other influencing platform. It's the quality isn't there just because the people aren't there, and largely because crypto is complicated. The people that are there are kind of like dorky and nerdy, and a lot of people aren't even showing their face. So when you can create good content in these different communities with someone that's doxed really living this freedom lifestyle that people want to live, people get excited about that. And that gives you a lot of positive feedback. They're going to support you. They're going to comment. They're going to retweet your content. Yeah. And it just gives you this sense of tribe, this sense of belonging. But also for me, it's like creating art, because I'm not on stage like doing comedy and stuff like that. I can create a video still. It's going to make people laugh. It's going to lighten up. Like all the business is like providing value, right?
Yeah.
So I'm creating pieces of content that provide value not only to the projects but to the community, and vice versa in my own brand.
Yeah, because every from what I understand, every crypto project has like a little small community.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess there's one point that you mentioned there that it's quite early and there's not many people in there.
Not in the content creation.
Yeah, not in the content creation within crypto, which is absolutely brilliant.
And the people that are like fairly autistic, which is a term of endearment in crypto.
If you haven't noticed, but yeah, like I guess, a lot of the listeners or, people that are watching, right? We have a lot of people that want to sort of break out and do something different. Like, do you have any sort of advice? Like, how do you make a jump from, a circus performer to crypto as a content creator? Because even with podcasts or just being on video, it's probably the hardest step for a lot of people. Like, do you have any sort of advice if someone wanted to sort of go down your path and become a content creator? Not necessarily in crypto, but possibly in crypto, just wanting to make a change. Yeah.
Yeah. For content specifically, or?
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
so.
I mean, ditch the idea of perfectionism and be okay with putting out really shitty content at the start, because your content's probably just going to suck, and you have to be used to it just sucking. You have to be willing to put yourself out there and only get 1 like, 2 likes for an extended period of time. You have to be consistent, and you have to continue to grow your skills. Because when you're a content creator starting out, you're not just creating the content, right? You're filming, you're editing, but then you're also marketing, you're creating the thumbnail, you're doing everything yourself, and this takes time to learn. And there's no other way around it.
But doing it, yeah.
Now in crypto, you can kind of get a boost up because there are these communities. So if you make content for a community, even if your content sucks, the community is going to like it. And again, the bar's pretty low. So you can kind of like hack your growth using something like, I guess, any kind of content creation. You can hack your growth by creating content that's specifically for a community. If you post a piece of content that's just based around your own brand, you're only going to get your supporters to retweet it and stuff. If you create content for a fighter or a brand or something like that, you're going to get support from that entire community, and that's going to help you grow your brand. Most of the most successful content creators in crypto, they just engagement farm all the time, which is something I've never really done. But the people that do, they get really big really fast because it's really easy, because again, the bar is so low. So if you create any piece of positive content for this project, people are going to retweet it. They're going to support you, and that's going to grow your account. But you got to be consistent. That's the biggest thing. Like, you have to be willing to turn up. Mr. Beast says this. He's like, anyone can make it on YouTube. You have to be consistent for 10 years.
Yeah.
And most people won't be consistent, right? They'll do it for a little period of time. They'll go, oh, this isn't for me. Yeah. But with anything I've ever done, like street performance. So I was a street performer back in Canada. I sucked when I started street. People go, oh, you're so natural. You're so like charismatic, blah, blah, blah. I was a shy kid.
But you had to learn it. Right.
I had to learn. And street performance is probably the hardest thing I've ever done. I was like comedy, acrobatic, circus in the streets. And the first 2 weeks, I was going to downtown Vancouver with this crappy little show. And street performance isn't even so much about the show you do. It's about the energy you have. Because people can subconsciously and consciously pick up on your energy. So I was out there to the crowds going, come watch my show. I'm amazing, blah, blah, blah. But what I was subconsciously communicating to them was like, I'm completely uncertain of myself. I have no confidence. Like, I don't believe in myself. Why should you? So I'd go down there. I'd go for an hour on my little microphone until I'd have like basically a mental breakdown. And I'd go for as long as I could take it. And then I would just go home. I couldn't get anyone to stop. And I did that for 2 weeks nonstop, just nonstop public humiliation on just a grand scale, just feeling like an absolute loser. But I kept doing it for 2 weeks. And then I finally stopped 10 people and was able to make like $40. I was like, okay, I got this. Yeah. And then in a few years that evolved. From that level, I mean, 40 to 50 to 60 to $100, from like 10 to 20 to 50 people, and then eventually hundreds of people in the street. And and that street changed everything for me as a performer. Because before, when I was a performer, I still had to work other jobs. I'd have to pick up a day of laboring or something here and there just to pay the bills if I didn't get a show. Once I did street, I gained the independence to be able to go and do a show and create money anytime. It was one of the coolest things ever, because you could just go to a city downtown and just stop hundreds of people and make enough money that day. It was very, very cool.
But you'd have to go through the ring of fire, right?
Most people will never do that, but that's the same thing with the freedom lifestyle. Yeah. Like, most people will never get to live this freedom lifestyle because they're not willing to endure that pain. And they're just not. Like, if you want to do something, you just got to do it. Like, one of my friends right now, I'm so proud of him. He's going to move to Bali and he's going to try to figure it out, whether it's in crypto, content creation, whatever it is. I've tried to get so many friends to do that. Most will never do it because, again, they'd rather live this certainty. Oh, I only have to work 8 hours and then I get home and I can take a Xanax and watch Netflix. Like, it's not that bad. And it's like, dude, you're living in hell.
Yeah. And your friend as well, what made him decide to be like, you know what? He's got no plan.
I kept telling him to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, come down to Bali, bro. Look what
consistency.
Yeah. I said, come down to Bali. Look what I'm doing. I said, you're an amazing videographer. Come down here. Let's create content. I'll help you get work in crypto. Let's blow this shit up.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And you tell a lot of people that, and very few do. And actually, when we were on the plane coming back, I sat beside this girl. We chatted up the whole time. She's 19, solo traveler by herself, traveling all over the world. Some people just have this fire and this drive. She was just in Fiji. She had to sleep on the street and stuff like that. She was super uncomfortable. But like, putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations. That's the only way you can grow. So you got to figure out what you like, what you're passionate about, and then figure out how to build a business model. But the best suggestion I'd give to people is like work for a year, work for 6 months, whatever it is, get enough money, move to Asia, move somewhere cheap, and be like, I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah. And now that you're in Bali, right, what I've noticed with other people that haven't got a plan and they just end up here is that these opportunities in this environment just appear out of nowhere. Was that the same case for you as well?
Yeah, I mean, always. There's something magical about it. I believe it's like the law of attraction or whatever it is, but when you're aligned on a certain energetic frequency, to get like esoteric, I really believe those are the people that you kind of attract in your life.
Yeah, I guess like one of the questions I had was, like your collaborations here in Bali, like we're collaborating right now, and how's your experience here in Bali with, the environment that you're in, right? And the people, yeah.
I love the people here.
Yeah.
Everyone's just on that. Everyone I meet, maybe it's just the places I go or the person I am again, because I really feel no matter where you go in the world, some people go to a country and they're like, that place sucks. The vibe sucks. The people suck. Somebody else goes there and I love that place. The vibes are amazing. So I really feel when you're on a certain path, you tend to run into a lot of other people on that same path, especially when you're going to like dope places like Wrong Gym and stuff like that. Like every time you'll be in the sauna and you're like, oh, I'm so cool. My life's so cool. And then you run into like someone that's like J-Lo's manager and you're like, oh, there's a lot of cool people. I guess I'm not the only cool person.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do like with Bali. The networking, the energy, the people. It's like, when you say hang around with the 5 people, you're more likely to become them.
Yeah.
It's like, I like the people in Bali because if you want
best people in the world,
I don't even I don't want to call it success. Like, if you just really want a good life, like good energy and all that stuff, is that I think this is one of the best places.
It's per concentration. I think it's like the coolest.
I mean, it's cheap, good food. Like the health wise here, like all the food is good and healthy. It's
incredible locals.
Incredible,
nicest people on the planet, man. Yeah. Teaching me how to smile all the time, even if I'm walking in the morning and I'm grumpy. Some like local just give me the biggest smile. And I'm like, oh yeah, smile. Yeah, I feel like that's such a precious gift the Balinese give you, is this like gentle friend. And they really have no reason to be nice to foreigners, because I feel like so many foreigners come here and just act like complete idiots.
Yeah.
Because obviously there is that juxtaposition in Bali. There is the super conscious, health-minded, digital nomads, entrepreneurs that are just obsessed with biohacking and self-improvement. But then there's also the complete gutter trash bogans, right? And so I feel like the locals are so nice still.
Yeah, man, you're so humble.
So humble, so nice, so friendly, so kind. Incredible surfing here. Like I said, everything's optimized. Like I haven't been, I guess there's places like this in Asia. But when you live in Latin America and stuff like that, like if you're going to have cleaners, cooks and everything, it's going to cost you significantly more. There's nowhere like when I was doing this fight camp, you can hit the hyperbaric chamber for $40. I can do physio for $15. My meal prep was like $100 a month. Like you can live a quality of life that back in Vancouver would cost me
that's exactly
4 times the price.
That's exactly that.
5 times the price. And that's living well. If you want to live cheap here, like you can live really cheap.
So a lot of my friends, they say like, when you coming back home? I'm like, hopefully never. And
this is
like,
home.
Why? I'm like, it's the quality. Like what you're saying, it's the quality of life out here. It's just like phenomenal. It's like, I think, them people are stuck in their bubble and, if they're happy with their life, cool. But if the people who's not happy with their life, but then when you start talking about a place like Bali, they're like, but it's like, man, you just got to come over here and have that experience. It's like, it's wild. It's like, it's like you're living on a different planet, because the planet that, when I was living in England, like my outlook on life, like the whole fucking world was fucked, but then you come over to Bali, it's like, man, it's like you're in the middle of heaven here. Like, the type of life that I want, what I dream of, kind of you can have it here.
100%.
Like you see, because all the locals people are just so spiritual, humble, happy.
And it's so safe compared to anywhere in Latin America. Like it's so safe here. I was riding my motorcycle to the beach one morning and there was like a group of like 12 teenagers that were kind of like walking around it. And I was having flashbacks from like Colombia and stuff. Like, you're going to get robbed, right? And here they're just like, you're like, oh, sweet. Yeah, right. I'm not in South America. I'm not going to get stabbed. This is cool. I like not getting stabbed.
Right. So, for anyone who's watching this, right? Not on a crypto thing so much here, like who's wants to change their life, mostly they have certain doubts in their head and stuff like that. I mean, what would you be saying to them people?
Quit being a puss. Take a chance on yourself.
Yeah. What you got to lose? I had this.
What are you gonna lose? Like you can go back to your shitty job and your shitty life. Like you can take a chance. Like save up money for a year. Like just stop drinking on the weekend. Put that in your savings. You know, live humbly. Move in with your parents if you have to. Like who cares? Save up for 6 months or something. Just try it. Again, like if you don't like it, if it doesn't work out, it's fine. Like you're gonna get another job as a cashier. Like it's okay.
That is so right. It's like I always say to people, what's the like? Actually, when I started traveling, Dr. Pepper, I was like, what's the worst could happen? That kind of thing. And I had that in my head all the time. Anytime I was doing anything, I'd be like, you know, because I was born around a lot of pessimists, you know, negative people. Like, so sometimes that rubs off on you. So it's like, I had certain thoughts in my head, like doubts, and I'd be like, you know what? What's the worst can happen, Sam? And when I think about the worst, I'm like, what's the likelihoods of that actually happening? Mm-hmm. And then it's like, when I run with it, it's like, man, it's not like what's the worst can happen. It's like, what's the best thing that can actually happen at this? And you're mostly like, if you're aiming this high, if you hit here, man, it's a high. So I thought it was really good.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
I think most people too, they don't even they're like, oh, my life's good, but they don't even understand how much better it could be.
Yeah,
they don't understand. I think most people are so brainwashed to have their expectations because everyone around them, because no one around them's made it. And a lot of people stay in their small towns, right? So they just don't have an idea. And I got very, very lucky that I traveled at a very young age. You know, most of my friends, the status quo path is to go to university first. I think the stupidest thing that you could possibly do is go commit to 4 years of debt in school when you don't even know who you are. And I think the best way to know who you are is to take yourself out of your comfort zone, go travel somewhere. Because you have no idea the only reason you're the way you are is because you grew up in a town that shaped your identity. And until you experience another place, until you experience another culture, you really have no idea what. I thought I wanted to do concrete construction, and then I became a circus performer traveling the world instead. Imagine how stark and different those realities are. But that never would have happened if I didn't take that first backpacking trip and realize how fundamentally wrong society was. I was screwed. This was before I started hitchhiking, and people would ask me my story. I'm like, oh yeah, I got home, I gave away all my stuff. They're like, oh, you're like the Into the Wild guy. I didn't even know what that movie was. But literally, I thought that the stuff made you unhappy. So when I got back from backpacking, I gave away everything I had. And I was a kid, but I had a car, I had a bike, I had a computer. I just gave all of that away. I didn't even want anything because I thought the stuff made you unhappy. Yeah. And it wasn't for a while till I realized, oh no, money's actually freaking awesome. It's not that makes you unhappy. It's the way people are spending their time to get the money that's creating that unhappiness. Because money is ultimately freedom.
But sometimes I don't think that, if you said to someone now, what is a good life? What kind of life would you think is a heavy life? People will start looking at TV, the rappers, the footballers, this and that. They think that's the high life, but they don't know what real life is like. And like you were saying, who are you? You don't know who you are. And that's it. And I think I was talking to someone else a couple of weeks ago. You're a product of your environment. Yeah. So it's you think you know who you are, but if you've been stuck in that same place, you're a product of your environment. So it's when I grew up in Hackney, I always had to look over my shoulder. I had to hold this persona of myself because if you're too soft, you're gonna get mugged off out here. So it's I had to roll a certain way. Mm-hmm. And then when I started traveling, it's even when I went traveling, I was straight away people yeah, Thailand's dangerous, this like that. So I went up there. I went out to Thailand with my guard up, and then I started realizing that everyone's so nice here. Everyone's happy. In England, if I say to someone, "Oh, good morning," they look at me like, "What's wrong with you?"
Same with Vancouver.
What's wrong with you? So it's but when I'm in Thailand, it's Sawadee Krap, and Sawadee Krap, Sawadee Krap. And I was right, everyone's happy, everyone smiles. Anyone you say hello to in their language, man, they're so nice to you. And I was rah. And then I started to learn more about myself. I thought I knew myself quite well because of the stuff I've been through, but no, I only knew myself who I was in that type of world until I stepped out of that, my comfort zone or whatever you want to call it. Then I started to rediscover who I am. So people say about finding yourself, I'm like, no, you need to rediscover yourself, reinvent yourself really as well. And I think, like you said, I fully back you 100% what you said. If someone was asking me, if someone was watching this right now and talking about you want to change your life and all that stuff, It's like my little brother, my mum and my family was like, you know, go college, university kind of thing, because that's what we were programmed to believe. I'm like, no, save up your money, yeah, go traveling for 6 months. Like, you're gonna learn so much about yourself. And it's like, because we said earlier on one of the podcasts, you know, when you come out to a certain split in a road, you always got someone with you. It's like, and you're like, oh, what should we do? Should we go left or should we go right? When you're traveling on your own, you got to make all these decisions by yourself. You got to learn how to money management, time management. You got to think of, you know, destination, this, that, and traveling is like so much stuff that you learn that you should be learning back home in school where we don't learn. It's like when you travel, man, you really do rediscover yourself and rediscover the world that you're actually living in as well, because not everywhere is the same as in wherever we come from. So.
Yeah, that's what I learned when I went to that little like Nicaraguan village where it was like the poorest people like I had seen, but they were so happy.
Yeah.
And so I realized like, oh, okay, there's a lot more to life. Like these people don't have money, but they're so rich in connection, in family, in time, in purpose, in fulfillment. There's such a poverty of the soul in the Western world. Even when people have money, they lack all those other ingredients. Yeah. Now, that's not the ultimate freedom, because obviously if they had more money to feed their families and stuff, that would be optimal. But that is a large missing factor that no one ever really gives much attention to.
It's like when I was in the Philippines doing the charity stuff. When I first was backpacking and that, I was like, I'm so grateful. I was happy. And I was like, yeah, now I understand gratitude. The universe is like, no, Sam, there's levels to this shit. Yeah. And they sent me to the rubbish dump site, and I saw these people got nothing. I said, you know, anyone who's watched my stories, they got nothing. They live on
I went there with you, and they just had the best energy.
They had the best energy. And I was scratching my head. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, how are you so happy? And you got nothing. You literally live on a rubbish dump site. Yeah. There's no toilets, there's no plumbing. Some of you got no electricity, no good food. And, you know, how are you happy? And it really hit me. And then I learned a different way of gratitude. And I also learned from that, you know, there's levels to everything. And it changed my concept of living. And again, if I never stepped out of my bubble in the first place, like, I'm trying to think, like, who would I be?
Exactly.
Like,
it actually scares me to think my life, what it might be if I
we never took that.
I'd probably be like an alcoholic, like with a construction company, and I'm like, that's pretty good. I only have to work 5
because that's normally that's normally the trajectory with that.
Yeah, it's
like construction.
Yeah,
it's a good question, because
which again isn't like terrible. Like I had friends that had landscaping companies. They would work for 5 months. They could take the like that's not a terrible existence, but it wasn't performance. That was this creative art that fulfilled my soul.
Was it for you?
That just felt like, yeah. And I think so many people have those, you know, inner talents, those inner gifts that they never have the time to unlock because they're spending all day at some shitty job. And when they get home, they're tired. And then it's the weekend. You're probably going to get drunk just to forget how shitty your week was. And then you're hungover on Saturday or Sunday. And then you're back.
Monday, you do that same shit all over.
Awful, man.
It's like Groundhog Day. It's like, you know.
And people don't realize, like, it's easier than ever to be able to do this in any way, shape, or capacity. Like, ditch the complete traditional system. Schools are straight up a scam. They charge more money every year for a degree that's worth less and less and less. That basically gets you nothing. When in reality, there's, you know, the way of the future is online.
Yeah.
Everything's online. You don't have to go to a 4-year school. You can take a 2 or 3 month program that only costs you $50. You can go on Skillshare or something like that. You can take these programs that cost you $50 a month. You can become, you know, a video editor, or you can become a website designer, whatever it is. Because that's the ultimate hack. Because what I used to do and what I recommend to people when they start out traveling is you work for your 4 or 5 months back home, you see your family, and then you go travel. Yeah. And maybe you do that twice or something. Maybe you do that 3 times, and you figure out, okay, I want to figure out a way to keep this going forever. Yeah. And you can do that with all of these incredible new programs like Skillshare or whatever it is. Yeah. You can learn those skills. And when you live somewhere cheaper, you have a lot more room to build your business, because you could get a place in Bali or Thailand for $200 a month. You can eat local food. You could be living sub $500 every single month while you're figuring out your new business, while you're developing these skills. Yeah. But half the time you're at the beach.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? But even like upskilling, right? Learning something new skill. Even Harvard's giving their free online, like basically their whole performer, their whole course, like online. It's actually incredible the amount of information that is out there, and people still choose.
But I still think most of these courses are nonsense.
Yeah, waste.
because there's so much filler in them. If you actually cut down the amount of filler, you could learn it in such a shorter time. Because again, all these traditional degrees, it's crazy. The number one reason that I hear people going to school now is because it makes my parents happy. You need to stop trying to make your parents happy, because their ultimate goal is you being successful and you being happy. They're just built in with this old ideological programming that your only path to success is traditional success. And you need to ditch that idea, that connotation. That's all absolute bullshit. Society doesn't want you to be able to think for yourself.
The world is
self-sovereign.
Because the world is changing. It's changing freaking fast.
AI is about.
But this is the biggest change, man. This is the biggest change in the world now. It's like you say, it's so much more easier now that my generation is only a little bit different from you two. But it's such a big difference.
Yeah, you barely know how to use the internet.
You know what I mean? Like, so what? So still
I had to help him so many times with forms and stuff in the airport. I was like, just let me do this for you, bro. Yeah. And it's more and more even with kids now. And it's so cool. There's so many different ways to make money online. Like if you're a kid that plays video games, for a while in crypto, I was playing video games and making more in a month than people do in a year. So like parents literally can't tell you you're never gonna like anything you want to do. You like football? Cool. You can make a YouTube channel about football. Cool. You don't want to be on camera? What do you like? Video games? You can cut clips of video games and put those on Instagram or TikTok and create that account. There's so many different creative ways to monetize things. But again, if you don't get out of your bubble, you don't get to be around people that have done this. And when you're around people that do this, you all the time, every single day, you're retraining your brain in a way to think, how can I make money off this? How could I do this? How could I do this? Because before I did, like I was always figuring out creative ways to make money. You know, whether it was busking when I was traveling, to make money when I was traveling, or then when I would start to go to like Bali or Central America, I'd bring home like jewelry or something like that. I would sell it. There's so many ways that you can make money. You could literally like what I used to do, I'd work in the summer, right? And then I'd go and travel, and then I'd buy like leather goods or jewelry or whatever it is. And then I just figured out, I can just sell these things at music festivals, and I can just live at music festivals, have fun, make money like that, and then make enough money to travel later. And then it wasn't until crypto came in, because even when I was doing performance, I was really blessed because I could work 5 months of the year like crazy doing shows, which I absolutely love doing, like 20 shows a week, absolutely crazy. But you'd stack money and then you can go and travel, but I still had to come back. So the ultimate hack is figuring out how to make money wherever you are, and not having it be a direct exchange for your time.
If I was going to call this podcast something, it would be on this show, should I say, where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. You just have to want it. And most people don't want it. They'll use excuses, but at the end of the day, it's like, hey, like people say, I don't have time for that. I'm like, I guarantee you waste an hour or two every single day. I guarantee no matter who you are, you're wasting some time in your day. And you could literally take that time to learn about crypto, to take a skill share, whatever it is. You don't have to wait until you're traveling. You can literally just apply an hour every single day, because most people have to learn how to learn again. Because most people like myself, we didn't even know we liked learning, because I hated school, because I knew it was bullshit, and I would say it was bullshit, and then I would get in trouble. So then I was rebelling against learning. And it wasn't until I was in Latin America, when I was in Guatemala when I was like 19, and I took a Spanish class on my own accord, and I was showing up early, I was doing my homework, and I went, holy shit, I like learning. This is crazy. I thought I hated learning. No, it just turns out I didn't want to learn bullshit. So I wanted to learn stuff I actually wanted to do because I wanted to do it, not because I had to go to school.
So it goes back to what we were saying earlier about know yourself. Like you need to learn who you are, kind of thing. It's like you're in that product, that environment. You're a product, so you don't know who you are until you step out. You start to rediscover who you are. So
and you have layers of pressure, right? Like you have the local pressure of like the ecosystem and the people you're around. Then you have like the parental. And then you have the societal, maybe even have the religious as well. So there is a lot of deprogramming that you need to do. And again,
social media as well.
I guess exactly. And I guess one of the biggest pieces of advice I would give people that want to start living this lifestyle is you have to be willing to ditch people that are holding you back. And you have to be able to do that ruthlessly, because I guarantee you're going to have a lot of old friends that are going to try to hold you down because you're not their drinking buddy anymore. Why aren't you coming out and getting fucked up with us? Like, what happened to Dave, you know? Like,
Yeah,
You
100%.
have to be willing. And sometimes that's family too. Sometimes you might have an aunt or an uncle or whoever it is that are holding you back and they're being toxic, and you have to learn how to have those boundaries for yourself, and you have to learn how to be selfish sometimes, because the only way you can give back to other people is to like truly fill your own cup. I'm really blessed in that regard because my mom was always very, very supportive of me traveling and doing wild shit like that. She was, but if she wasn't, we just wouldn't have talked.
You know, it's such a good point, because what you just said there is that when you start saying that, I'm looking back at my life, I was thinking that I had that group of people I was hanging around with, and you know, I had to ditch them all to get to my next level. If I didn't, I would have still been there. And I ditched them, but I got to this new level, which was better than the last. But then after a while, I kind of outgrew myself, up my game, and I was like, right, I need to step out of this one, because otherwise I'm going to be at this level. And it's through this life, I've just been, jumping up. It's like now I look at myself like, you know, I'm living in Bali, or when I was living in Thailand, and I'm living among like-minded people. I think Bali on that phase is even better, because I want to be a bit more going back into business again, then being successful, being an entrepreneur again. And, you know, here is full of entrepreneurs, great thinkers, great energy. You know, so I'm like, yeah, man, I'm in the right place right now. For me to where I want to go to the next level, I need to be in this level right now. I need to clock this level to go on to the next one. So,
and just take every crazy opportunity and experience that comes your way. Just say yes. Like, I just did this fight for this influencer fight club for karate combat on a pro card against another guy that was way more experienced than me. You know, it was on a month's notice with an injury. There was every reason to say no. But I said, you know what? This is a peak life experience. I don't care. I'm going to make this happen. And you have to be willing to put yourself in those very, very uncomfortable positions with a huge amount of stress, and be willing to fail, because every successful person has failed so many freaking times. And failure, you can't see failure as a failure. You got to see failure as a paving stone. Yeah. It's the next step up, right? Yeah, and like you said, with hanging out with people, like when I was in Vancouver, my friends were dying from fentanyl overdoses. When I moved to Tulum, my friends were millionaire crypto influencers.
It's funny what you said there. It's like, you know, because even when we were going for this training thing, like there was a little bit where you was like, bro, I might pull out of it, that kind of thing.
10 days before I had to rest.
And you
hadn't been able to train.
You messaged me, and I was like, man, how do I reply to that? And then I kind of replied back to it. Can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember I was trying to find the right words, and he said, you
said, if you don't do this, I will never look at you or talk to you again, and I will publicly berate and assault you. And I said, I'm sorry, sir, I will win.
This photo was watching, it wasn't that.
It was a joke.
But yeah, I said some words, and then boom, you came back, and he's like, yeah, boom, and he's like, how happy are you now? You done? I'm well happy that you done it, bro.
I'm stoked, man. It was one of the best life experiences of my life. And when you're willing to put yourself out in the circumstances, it's crazy how life can keep getting better and better and better.
Yeah,
it really is. It's crazy to think how far I've come since that 18-year-old that was hitchhiking down to Burning Man with no food or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. And like, be prepared too, because life doesn't go up linearly.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have these peaks, you're going to have these lows. And especially when you first start traveling and stuff, like, you're going to experience like being very lonely. You're going to be uncomfortable. I used to travel before there was smartphones and stuff like that. So there was no talking to people. If you didn't speak the language, there's no translation. There's no Google Maps. You had like a guidebook, and you're like, oh, these are the 4 restaurants I know in town. But there wasn't talking to anyone.
Yeah.
Do you think it's quite good to learn how to be by yourself as well? Because
yeah,
I was talking to my mom about this. When I was growing
Most people have no idea how to be alone with themselves.
Yeah, when I was growing up, I always had people with me. Anywhere I'd go, I always got friends with me, always. And it's like now the type of person I am. I really like on my own. I mean, obviously when I was backpacking, you travel on your own. You might meet a little group and then you go back on your own again. And I think spending time with yourself, I think that's like quite a big key in life. I didn't spend a proper time just by myself. And also I was always in relationships with a girl. And I'll mostly say this from my podcast in details, but one of the last girls I was going out with, she was like, you know what, Simon? You need to find happiness. And I was like, it's good about. I'm happy. But then, within the first month of traveling, at the end of that month, I was like, oh my God. I remember I used to wake up in the morning, I pull back the curtains. When you're in England, you pull back the curtains, it's always grey clouds. It might be raining as well. I thought, another day. And that was my beginning of my day. That's how I say, another day. And then, when I was traveling, I was waking up early in the morning, and I'll jump out my bed. I was happy to take on life on the day. And yeah, man, I was like, wow, no, she was so right. Like, I need to find happiness. I find happiness. I messaged her. I was like, you know what, babe? Like, you're so right.
I want you back. I love you.
I wasn't right. That's funny. I was like, man, you're so right. I need to find happiness. I'm so happy now. She goes, fuck you, Sam.
I'm so much happier without you.
Obviously, that she was like, you could have found this before when you was with me, but hey.
Well, you couldn't.
I can't know, but
because most people are in a codependent relationship because they have a void within themselves because they never learned how to love themselves and they never have to because they're always getting constant feedback from other people. That's why you see people perpetually jumping from relationship to relationship. You know what? Because they don't know how to do that.
That was it for me. Like, not to go into deep stories, but it's like, you know, obviously people are going to start learning more about myself, but it's like, you know, my brother was murdered, and all my family, all my friends was all hit by it as well. So when everyone used to see me, everyone was kind of upset. And if I was upset, they would be more upset. So I used to wear what I call the mask, the happy mask. So when everyone saw me, I was always happy. And then I kind of lost myself.
You must feel like it's your duty as a man in your family.
I had to do it.
When your family's grieving.
I kind of lost myself, who I was, and I couldn't find that happiness. And, you know, I become that thing. And it wasn't until I started traveling, like I say, I found the happiness. And then before the girl I was just talking about, there was another girl, the love of my life, best girl ever. And we broke up because in some ways I think of my happiness. Mm-hmm. And, you know, sometimes I think to myself, man, if I could go back, I'll try to be different as that. But it really and truly, as fucked up as it was, I needed to break up with that girl to become who I was. Like, even if she would have took me back or we got back together, like, I still would have been broken goods in that way. You know, I needed that breakup to be who I am today. And as fucked up as it sounds.
No, I think breakups are, like, honestly, usually the best thing that'll ever happen to you. Because every single time you have to, a lot of the times we lose ourselves in relationships because, again, we don't really have ourselves to begin with.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I had to learn. One of the hardest things was learning how to be alone. Like, I remember when I first started hitchhiking, I was hitchhiking by myself and I was sleeping in like forests and stuff, like alone by myself. And I just remember this crippling sense of loneliness. I used to write in my journal all the time, like manifesting like my tantric twin flame. I was always like talking about this girl that I would meet and fall in love with. And I realized, you know, part of it's really beautiful, but I also realized the reason I wanted to meet that person so much was because I just wasn't okay with being by myself. Yeah. I feel a combination of that and then also like Vipassana, which is like a 10-day silent meditation retreat. Even though you're with other people, you're by yourself. You're not talking to anyone. You're not listening to anything. You're not writing. It's nothing. You're just meditating for 10 to 12 hours a day for 10 days straight. And you're on your complete own journey and you just sit there and you just listen to your thoughts.
You're the second person to talk about that today, actually. We had another guest who was actually...
It's like top 2 or 3 experiences I've ever had in my life.
I'm going to have to do that because you're the second person. You're the second person who said that.
Amazing afterwards.
So going back to that, what we were saying is that, you know, from being in relationship, and I didn't learn... I thought I knew myself, but because I was always in a relationship, there's always 2 of us. Mm-hmm. And then when I broke up and went traveling, I learned so much about myself, and obviously I found happiness instead of finding happiness with someone else. That's what the story I was going to get.
It's not true happiness if you find it with someone else.
That's what it was. That's what I was saying. So like, after my brother's death and all that, I was in a relationship. I broke up in that relationship. I went straight into another relationship. So then it's like, because I was trying to find happiness with someone else. And it was that time that I was on my own and I went traveling. I learned to find happiness with myself. And so, yeah.
There's this analogy I like to use that, and like the Buddhists believe like the Western love is not real love. It's just basically passion, right? And the analogy I like to use is most people are going around in life like a half circle. They find another half circle. They create a codependent relationship. The first little while is great, right? Because you have a deal. It's like, yo, I'll make you happy. You make me happy. But it's not a sustainable happiness, right? As soon as one person's not fulfilling their obligations or whatever it is, there's disharmony, right? Mm. So what you have to do is you have to become that like full circle within yourself. And then when you meet another full circle, you can kind of meet in the middle and create that interdependence.
That's exactly it. So that's why when I went traveling, I was like, I need to find happiness with myself. Near enough, 40 complete. But it's like, now I should like, try to find someone who's got that happiness as well. Like, I don't want to find someone who's still trying to find themselves.
But at that point, you're not even really trying to find them because you're so good within yourself. You just naturally attract them.
Look, man, I just need to go Colombia, man. That's my next trip. I need to go South America.
Colombia's nice. Just don't get drugged and robbed. A lot of my friends have.
All right. So,
cool.
right at, yeah. So, Sean, do you have anything else to say? Final words? Anything that how do people get in contact with you? How do they reach out? Is there anything?
Yeah, Instagram or Twitter at ShinyD, SHINEY. The E is for entertainment, D1111, ShinyD1111.
Yeah.
Twitter, Instagram, Telegram.
Do you want to give a little shout out for your that you keep drinking this bottle and all that?
Oh, well, the water was for hydration, but the shirt is for Osaka Protocol, Cult of the Black Shiba, Ryoshi. Next Shiba Inu, I don't know. I don't want to tell you what to do, but, if you hate money, don't look into this.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Just subscribe to the YouTube if you want to hear more interviews like this. We've got, on Apple Music and Spotify as well. Just leave us a review. It is a new podcast. Otherwise, we'll see you next week with another interview. Chat to you.
That's it, guys.